Are you still quoting 30-year-old movies? Have you said cool beans in the past 90 days? Do you think Discover isn't widely accepted? If this sounds like you, you're stuck in the past. Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. And every time you make a purchase with your card, you automatically earn cash back. Welcome to the now. It pays to Discover. Learn more at discover.com/credit card, based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
Spring is truly one of the most beautiful times of the year to go for a hike. The sun is finally shining, the air is warming up, and the hills are exploding with wildflowers. But where do you go to take advantage of peak wildflower season? Like, what are the best hikes and what can you see there? Especially after the rains this week, things are going to be popping off. So today on CityCast Portland, Norther Emily of Wild Solitude Guiding is here to give us all her best tips for enjoying the wildflower season, like when to visit, where to go, and anything else you might need to get on your way. It's Tuesday, May 13th. I'm Claudia Meza, and this is what Portland's talking about. So I don't think there's a bigger disappointment at this time of year than going out expecting to see wildflowers and then just missing them, just seeing the petals on the floor, you know? So will you remind us, like, when is peak wildflower season and does it change depending on like regions?
Oh, yeah. So there's no hard specific answer for this. It really depends on what we're talking about. I would say wildflower season starts, generally speaking, in like mid-March.
Oh, okay.
When we're getting like trilliums and things like that. So in like the lower elevation areas here in the Willamette Valley, also like out in the Coast Range and in the lower elevation parts of the gorge, that's when you're going to first start to see trilliums. And for the most part, I would say trilliums are done by now. And then what comes after that is kind of the early flowers of the mid-Columbia Gorge. Primarily, those locations are in Washington state because there's two
Is it
sides.
the elevation?
No, it's the aspect that the hills are facing, right? So Washington is the north side of the Columbia River Gorge. So the land in Washington faces south, right? So it gets more sunshine.
Sun.
So it's more like meadowy and shit over there. It's more like open plateaus, and they get seasons earlier than we do, and they have slightly different like flowers and things that we do.
I can attest, by the way, I like going to Coyote Wall. You
Yeah.
know that trail?
10 out of 10.
Oh my God, there's so many little trails there. Anyhow, I think that should be their tagline during this time of year, which is meadowy and shit.
Meadowy and shit. I love that area. It's a fantastic area. I feel like those kind of like mid-Columbia Gorge wildflower areas are some species they're peaking right now, and for others they're kind of like past their peak.
Okay.
So if you get out there like this weekend, you probably can see some great stuff, maybe a couple more weeks. If you really want to catch it at its peak and you missed it, you can try going up a little higher in elevation to sites on the Oregon side that are going to be on a lower, they're going to be like a little further behind in terms of like where they're at in the season.
So we could be chasing these wildflowers up until June, is what I'm assuming.
Oh, no, it goes into July because then we get into alpine wildflower season. So it really goes, I would say it really goes through July. Maybe once you get into August, it's going to start to peter out just because we're on the other side of the summer solstice at that point, and so the days are starting to get shorter. So as humans, we think of seasons in terms of like the calendar and in terms of the type of weather that we associate with calendar periods. But plants care about soil temperatures and how many hours of sunlight they have.
Yeah. Well, let's start here in Portland and then fan outwards. Like, what's the best place to go see wildflowers in the city right now? Where would you take us?
Like if I wanted to go look at wildflowers today and I wasn't going to leave the city limits, I would either be looking at Forest Park for some of the more like shadier plants that grow, you know, in the understory. It tends to be more like little tiny kinds of plants and plants that are shade loving and stuff. Or I would go out to like Powell Butte or somewhere like that that's, you know, like meadowy and shit, like open and going to have lots of cute little tiny flowers in the meadows. And then also some of the shade loving plants like further down the hill in the little forested areas.
And then fanning out from there, like where would you take us?
Oh, definitely the gorge right now is just incredible. Right now in the gorge, we've got lots of bleeding hearts. The larkspur is blooming. The gorge, especially like around the historic highway, is kind of unique because it is, sort of your traditional Pacific Northwest low elevation forest. But there's also a lot of plants that have escaped from people's yards in the gorge. So you're seeing also a lot of wisteria, which is low key not a great thing. Wisteria is pretty invasive.
But it's pretty.
It's pretty.
But yeah.
It could be a snack too. You could forage some and do your part to keep it in check. Lilacs are blooming in the gorge right now. Lilacs were really popular with pioneers, so you can often find like little homesteads and stuff by looking for lilacs hiding out in the bushes. What else are we seeing? Oh, the camas are blooming right now.
I think I have camas in my front yard.
Do you?
Yeah, without meaning. Like, I didn't plant it.
Is it in like a swampy area or is it in like a dry, rocky area?
It's near my trash cans. I don't know. Well, let's get specific because for sure there's some epic wildflower hikes in the gorge, but like what are a few of your favorites? What can our listeners drop into their Google Maps to get it there?
Yeah. So, if you haven't done the classic mid-Columbia Gorge wildflower hikes, you should definitely do those. They're worth doing even without flowers. Mamaloose Hills, Columbia Hills Park, Rowena Crest is a classic. These are all kind of like in the area of like the Dalles, Mosier, that kind of like mid-Columbia Gorge area. There's some really pretty spots around there. And then on the opposite side, Columbia Hills would be a great option to look for some flowers. I've spent a lot of time at Coyote Wall and Catherine Creek this year, and some of the early flowers are past, of course, but there's still like a lot of stuff going on out there. There's a lot to look at. I also really like the Lyle cherry orchards. Even without the cherries. It's not even about the cherries. The Lyle cherry orchard is really cool. It's pretty steep. We do have a lot of ticks out this season, so that's something that you should be aware of.
I don't like that. No, I don't like that one bit. Okay.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Leave your dog at home maybe, or I don't know.
That's not happening. But
I know, right?
I don't know if you ever had a dog, Norther, but like when you're on a hike and your dog isn't next to you, you feel like an asshole. Like you're just like, oh, they would love this so much. And then you go back and they're just like in the house, like, hi. You're just like, oh, God, this is the worst feeling. Okay, I don't know. Sorry, that was a total tangent. All right, well, let's take a quick break here. And when we return, wildflower hikes on the coast. Are you ready to vote in the May 20th special election? You'll be deciding on bonds to improve safety and update facilities at Portland Public Schools and Mount Hood Community College. You'll also be choosing directors to serve on local school boards, fire and water district boards, and the Urban Flood and Water Safety Board. And as we all know, who heads these boards is important. But if you're still deciding, the League of Women Voters is an excellent resource. Visit vote411.org and lwvpdx.org, where they have ballot measure explanations, candidate info, video interviews, and for the most contested races, there are actually recordings in which candidates or advocates debate the issues. Your vote is your voice. Make it count. Visit vote411.org and LWVPDX to inform your vote.
Hi, I'm David Plotz, the CEO of CityCast. We've all set health goals: lose weight, exercise more, eat better. But without a plan, those goals often fade. That may have happened to you. It has definitely happened to me. And that's where Prolon comes in. Prolon's 5-day fasting mimicking diet gives you a science-backed, structured approach to stay on track and see real results. And now Prolon is upping their game with the new next-gen 5-day program, delivering the same science-backed benefits in a cleaner, more convenient, and more flavorful format. Prolon is a plant-based nutrition program featuring soups, snacks, and beverages designed to nourish the body while keeping it in a fasting state, triggering cellular rejuvenation and renewal. Next Gen builds on the original Prolon with 100% organic soups and teas, a richer taste, and ready-to-eat meals. Developed over decades at USC's Longevity Institute and backed by top U.S. medical centers, Prolon has been shown to support biological age reduction, metabolic health, skin appearance, fat loss, and energy. I've been doing the 5-day program, and I feel so much better. I really enjoy the tasty energy bars, the snacks and soups, and the fact that I can enjoy meals, even though the calorie count is super low. The flavors and textures are excellent. An olive oil snack here, broccoli and quinoa soup there, hibiscus tea, a yummy nut bar. It's got the benefits of a 5-day fast, but doesn't have the challenge of doing it with pure liquids. It's a system reset. And also, I know this sounds funny, but it's not. The packaging and directions are fantastic, clear and well organized and thoughtful. For a limited time, you can be first in line to experience the new Next Gen at special savings. Prolon is offering CityCast listeners 15% off site-wide, plus a $40 bonus gift when you subscribe to their 5-day program. Just visit prolonlife.com/city. That's PROLONLIFE.com/city to claim your 15% discount and your bonus gift. prolonlife.com/city.
So we're going to list all these hikes in our show notes, but do you want to just rattle them off?
Yeah, so Rowena Crest, Lyle Cherry Orchard, anything along the historic highway section that's been redone right now is going to be really nice. Catherine Creek and Coyote Wall are beautiful always.
Mm-hmm.
And there's still quite a few flowers there. And then moving into maybe the month of like late May, early June would be a great time to go out to the Coast Range for the kind of like early summer Coast Range.
Ooh, let's talk about that.
Tiny, tiny flower vibes are the best.
Okay, so where in the coast? I don't know if you know this, Norther, but I love the coast. So I don't think I've ever done a wildflower specific hike in the coast because to me, I'm just like, must see the ocean, So this
Sure.
was intriguing when I heard that there are a lot of wildflowers there, So what's a good hike? Like, where would you send me?
If you're up for more of a challenging hike, I would say Kings Mountain has a really great little like flower meadow area at its summit. That's a pretty hard hike. I would also say Saddle Mountain. Saddle Mountain is like one of the best hikes in the state of Oregon.
Would you consider that the coast though?
Yeah.
Really? Oh
Yeah,
my
it's in the
gosh.
Coast Range. It's not on the beach or anything, but you can see the
That's
ocean.
what I was thinking. Gotcha.
Saddle Mountain is one of the best hikes that you could do in the state of Oregon, and there's tons of beautiful flowers. It's more of that like rocky alpine kind of flower vibe, but also some hanging gardens too, which are really beautiful.
What? Oh my
Yeah.
God. Okay, sold.
Neocani Mountain and like all of the meadowy high areas in Oswald West State Park in June are fantastic.
Ooh.
And then once we get into like the real meat of summer, once the snow melts out of the mountains, then it's alpine summer flower time. St. Helens has incredible wildflower meadows. There's a lot of access issues with St. Helens this year. So like do a lot of research before you try to go there and make sure that the road you want to use is open. That being said, this is going to be the best year to go to St. Helens because nobody else will be there. So if you really want to see those flowers, put in the work, figure it out. You will have the whole place to yourself. Just saying.
That's good to know. Yeah.
Timberline Trail on Mount Hood. That'll be more like July. It just depends on when the snow melts. Once the snow is gone, we're good.
So closer to home, Gorge, we would say, nowish to like mid-June peak. And then starting June to possibly, early July, that's when we get the coast going.
Coast is even probably getting going now.
And then late June to, I don't know, August or whatever, we have the mountains.
The mountains.
We just did a map. I hope everyone remembered what I just said because I think that makes sense. Okay.
Up in the mountains, the first thing that we're going to see, so like as you're going up and down the mountains, something that you can look for to know that we're getting ready to really crank on wildflower season is the rhododendrons are blooming. That's kind of the first thing you're going to see in the mountains, especially because there's so many of them, like lower elevation too, like in the like 4,000, 5,000 foot range. Some of the early season alpine flowers have started before the snows are even off of the trails. So it's never too early if you can see the ground. You're good to go.
I've been meaning to go up there anyhow because they have that alpine slide. Have you been?
No, I've never been to the
There's an alpine slide.
That's very silly and sounds really wholesome and fun.
You buy a pass for the day and you get to go down the slide like X amount of times. You take a ski lift and just see all of, the wildflowers, all of how beautiful the mountain is without the snow. It's gorgeous.
That's so
I keep
cool.
hearing about it. You have to like plan ahead because like it sells out, of course.
You don't have to go hiking to see the flowers too. There's a lot that you can see from the historic highway right now. There's a lot that you could see just driving. If you just drive out Highway 6 along the Wilson River, there's tons of tiny little like miner's lettuces blooming and things like that. Like lots of cute little flowers everywhere.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's take a quick break here. And when we return, some wildflower hikes worth a road trip.
This episode of CityCast is sponsored by Babbel. Learning a new language opens the door to new friends, new cultures, maybe even a whole new life. So why not start the journey today with Babbel? You can start speaking a new language with confidence thanks to Babbel's conversation-based technique. It quickly teaches you useful words and phrases about the things you actually talk about in the real world. There are more than a dozen languages available for you to learn at your own pace, with material tailored to your individual proficiency level, interests, and time availability. I'm David Plott, CEO of CityCast, and I've been learning Spanish with Babbel and brushing up a teeny bit on my French. But there's also Turkish, Swedish, Dutch, German, many more languages. Babbel's tips and tools for learning a new language are approachable and accessible. It's like having a private tutor in your pocket. I particularly love Babbel's guided conversations, which let me practice real-world conversations. What to say at the doctor's office, how to leave a party, using speech recognition to make sure I'm getting the pronunciation right. Babbel's mobile app and website have real-time feedback, progress trackers, and clear visualizations. They're helping me improve my Spanish in only 10 minutes a day. So get talking with Babbel. I want you to learn another language, so I'm teaming up with Babbel to gift you 55% off subscriptions, but only for CityCast listeners at babbel.com/CityCast. Get up to 55% off at babbel.com/CityCast. Spelled BABBEL.com/CityCast. Babbel.com/CityCast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
All right. What if we're planning an epic wildflower road trip? Like, what's somewhere a bit further out that you're just like, okay, if you've got a weekend, this is where you got to go?
A weekend road trip just to look at flowers.
Did I just steal your heart?
No, I know, right?
You're
actually,
oh my God.
actually, I don't have anything to do this weekend, so maybe. No, wait a minute. If I was going out this weekend and I just wanted to like be chill, look at flowers, take pictures of tiny things, macro view all weekend, which sounds super nice. And I'm a confident navigator in terms of like road maps, driving and things like that. I would just go get lost on logging roads in the Tillamook all weekend, especially in the river canyons like the Kilchis, the Wilson, the Trask. Those are gorgeous areas. They're going to be full of tiny, cute little flowers. It's barely rained at all this spring, which is, we'll just set that aside and enjoy it for what it is right now because we can't do anything to make that different. But it's going to be beautiful out in the Coast Range. It's a beautiful spring on the coast. So that would be my choice for right now. Later on, if you wanted to plan, if you're like into planning ahead for things and you wanted to do more of a alpine, kind of like subalpine wildflower road trip, I would say going through the Old Cascades Crest area would be incredible. The Old Cascades is like the mountain range that is smaller and older and more eroded that's directly to the west of the High Cascades in like Central Oregon. There is an older mountain range, so there's some like flower species that are endemic to that area. They don't grow anywhere else. It's a little bit more like open and meadowy. I would definitely encourage people to visit places like Bachelor and Coffin Mountain, which have tons of bear grass. It's super cool to be out there.
Whoa, I've never heard of bear grass.
Oh, bear grass is fun. Pretty unique. They bloom on 2 and 3 year cycles. So some years there's an insane bloom. And then,
wow.
Yeah. And then some years it's a little more kind of mellow. They start growing at about 3,500, 4,000 feet. So it's a higher elevation plant. I always say
Can I just yeah, or are you going to give a visual? I was like, for our listeners, I was going to say Yeah, go ahead.
I want to hear what Claudia has to say, because then I'll tell you what I think.
I was going to say, and this is like so niche and nerdy, but I was like, this is definitely like a plant that Miyazaki would have drawn in one of his cartoons. Do you know what I mean? Like you're going down a field and you see that, like, which by the way, no help at all. So Norther, can you give us an actual description of the plant?
Yeah, they look like boobs, like real, like real boobs. Like they're a little bit like they don't match quite, and like one like kind of drifts a little. Like they look like boobs, real boobs.
They're also white.
Yeah, they're a cluster flower, so it's like a big spray of flowers that all come up, and they make this kind of like rounded ball thing with like a little tip on it. It looks like a real person's boobs.
I mean, that would be a very long nipple, but yes.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying. Anyway, when you see a whole meadow of them and they're just bobbing slightly in the wind, you're like, yeah, man, I get it. Okay.
You're like nature's boobs. All right. Let's talk. Last question, I swear. Let's talk flower etiquette. Like, can you ever pick them? Because you know, like you see them and you're like, oh, can I take one home? Like,
no.
What is, that was easy. That was just a firm no.
A firm, hard no. The only time I've ever picked a wildflower is because I was going to eat it. Okay. So foraging for flowers is okay because it's food. But do we go around making bouquets? Absolutely not. Not under any circumstances. Nope.
Wow. Okay.
So I wanted to come on here and debunk a myth about one of our favorite wildflowers, the trillium. People say that they only bloom once every 7 years, and that's made up. Somebody, started that rumor. It's not true. However, you cannot pick a trillium ever under any circumstances because they store their food in their leaves. And if you pick the flower, it will die. It will not grow back.
Kill the plant.
The plant will not grow back. So we do not pick trilliums under any circumstances. Don't let anyone tell you it's illegal, though. I don't know why people go around pretending that there are laws when there aren't. It's not illegal to pick trilliums. It's just a dick move. Don't be a dick.
Yeah, gotcha.
Don't pick wildflowers. If you want to grow them, you totally can. All of these plants grow here on purpose, just straight out of the ground with no help from anyone. So you can just shake that shit out into your yard, or even, there's a lot of empty lots in town too. I'm just saying, like, you didn't hear it from me, but like there's a lot of places that would be prettier if they had some more flowers in them. So get creative, do whatever you want, but don't pick wildflowers.
Unless you're eating them.
Yeah, and even then it's like trilliums are edible, but I would never. But like a red currant, if I see a flowering red currant, I'm absolutely going to snag a little flower and take a bite of it. Wisteria, another good example. Please eat some wisteria if you would like to, and you see it out in the woods. It is an absolute menace. There is a 7-acre wisteria patch on an abandoned lot in the gorge. It is insane. It has taken over the trees, crawled up into the trees, and totally killed them. It's just a menace to behold, and it is very beautiful, and I love the way it smells.
I was just thinking, I was like, that sounds so awful, but also like, that's gorgeous.
It's
it's
stunning.
Like killing these trees, and it's just like,
stunning.
You're like, stunning.
If you want some flowers, if you want a bouquet of flowers, there are peony gardens, there are tulip farms, there are a million places where you can go, like Savi Island and out like towards like Wilsonville and out in the farmland out there. There's tons of really cute family farms that have you pick flower farm gardens where you can just go out there with a pair of scissors and make yourself like an amazing bouquet. And then you get to support like a local farm and get to support somebody doing something productive to stay on their family's land too. So it's a cool thing to do.
I really should be wrapping up, but I just want to know, like, why? Why can't we pick them and make a bouquet? If there's so many of them and if you're doing it responsibly, why can you not? I've never done it. I'm not saying, like, I'm trying. This isn't like, I'm just curious.
Because I don't think you can do it responsibly is kind of the point. Like, you shouldn't be walking off trail. You shouldn't be, like, walking into the meadows in the first place.
Gotcha. Okay.
And some of these places, especially when we're talking mid-Columbia Gorge, they're getting fucking hammered. Memaloose Hills and Rowena Crest are like seeing a tremendous number of visitors. It is a cool area. I don't want to tell people that they can't go there just because it's busy, but like there's a whole lot else out there. There's a whole lot more to see besides the 3 things that people pimp out on Facebook and Instagram every spring. So, see the classics, but branch out and like, yeah, it's just they're not for us.
I hear that. Well, Norther, thank you so much for taking the time to talk wildflowers with me.
Of course.
As always a pleasure.
Thanks for having me, Claudia. It was fun.
Well, that's all for today here on CityCast Portland. Thanks so much for listening. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more from around the city. Until then, see you at Slim's.